for Thursday, March the 11th. It's so nice to have everybody here tonight to look out and see people. Our invocation tonight is going to be given by Mr. Stephen Mason, who's the preacher at the First Christian Church. Welcome to Chicken, Brother Mason. And our Pledge of Allegiance, I will lead it. So if you would please stand, and if you would come to the podium.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing this meeting together tonight, Father God, and we lift up to you all law enforcement, all county, state, city, civic, economic leaders. Father God, we ask you, Father, to bless the state of New Mexico, Quay County, and all of our leaders here. Father God, we ask that your will, your way over this meeting, that everyone returns home safely at the end of this night. In Jesus' name, we pray.
Amen. Okay, if you would place the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Here.
Commissioner Moya.
Here.
Commissioner Guerrero.
Here.
Commissioner Arias.
Here.
Mayor Litchfield.
Here. Are there any considerations of changes or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. I ask that we remove items 5A and items 7B. That is the bar, as well as the agreement with Chicken Public Schools regarding the baseball and softball fields. The softball agreement is not ready at this time, so we'll try to pursue that and get that at the meeting at the end of the month. Not due to a lack of effort on the city side, there are just some things that we need to fine tune. So I'll be meeting with Mr. McKinney next week. We'll be doing an on-site visit, just make sure everything's the way it should be on the property description. And then also the bar, due to Michelle having to leave due to some family issues, medical issues. So our thoughts and prayers are with her. And we'll conduct that next week, or excuse me, in 2 weeks of the next meeting. And she said it is perfectly fine, it's still going to be on time, so there's no issues with that.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as corrected.
Excuse me, could we also include the Omni?
No, ma'am, Commissioner Moya wanted to keep that on there.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, there's no reason. Actually, we're just going to discuss the contract, even though it went into effect yesterday.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
Okay. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Oh, okay. Gonna have to roll call, please.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Commissioner Guerrero.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is public comments. Citizens wanting to speak during this time must sign in prior to the start of the meeting. Comments is an opportunity for citizens to comment on non-agenda items, and this is not for discussion or questions and answers. Citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak, and you can please join from your computer or your tablet or your smartphone if you are going virtual tonight. So first on the agenda is Mr. Vincent Chavez with Bands of Enchantment.
Thank you, council members and Mrs. Mayor, for having us. This is my brother, Ken Peterson. We are the executive producers of Bands of Enchantment, along with my father and Ken's stepfather, Vincent Chavez. And we just wanted to come and address the meeting for a couple of notes. One is a big thank you to the council members and the folks of Tucumcari. Everything's been going fantastic. We want to give you some updates, and we're thrilled to be here. First off is a quick program recap. There's quite a lot that's been going on. So we have our main stage performances that are taking place at the Historical Training Museum. And those are eight performances that become 30-minute programs that are going to air on PBS New Mexico, Amazon Prime, as well as the Cowboy Channel. We also have acoustic performances, single song performances by each of these bands that will be performed around town in Tucumcari at various venues, shops, stores, hotels, those types of things that help bring additional exposure to the city of Tucumcari. And those will be distributed online, social media, you name it. As well, we have a contract with Pepsi's regional distributor to do an in-store sweepstakes promotion here in Tucumcari and around New Mexico. That obviously will we have sweepstakes prizes, and basically on everything is Bands of Enchantment Tucumcari sessions that gets out to the public. We've also added another program called the Zia Stage. I'd let Ken talk about the Z Stage quick.
The Zia Stage will be on social media as well as all platforms. And eventually, when we get to the festival stage, will be the stage that champions New Mexican artists. It will be at the Zia Club, and we will be featuring 4 New Mexican artists, Sarah Marie from Santa Fe, Carlos Medina from Santa Fe, Mika Thunder from Albuquerque, and Levi Cotero from the Navajo Nation.
And just before I forget, we'd love to invite everyone this evening to take a quick tour of what we've done over at the train station. So if you do have the time, please come on over and take a quick tour, and take a look. As well, we want to invite the council members to a private screening on the 19th at 4:30 p.m. And we would be happy to follow up with the proper details about this. And this harkens back to our original discussion, about doing Bands of Enchantment together. And this allows then the council to screen a program and therefore review whether or not it wants to exercise its right of first refusal to participate in episodes 5 through 8. And I will have forward the addendum to the city manager for your review. And given our hectic schedule, we do ask that a decision be made quite quickly because of what we have to try to accomplish. Now with that, we'll announce the season 1 lineup, and then we will yield our time. Thank you.
Your 3 minutes are up, but we'll let you go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
That's all right.
okay. So we're extremely excited for the artists that we have brought out for season 1 of Bands of Enchantment. We kick off with Max Gomez from Taos, New Mexico. We will follow up with Lily Hyatt from Nashville, Tennessee, John Hyatt's daughter, country artist. Junior Mesa from Los Angeles, California, who's just featured on Amazon Prime in a movie. Southern Avenue, Grammy-nominated blues artist from Memphis, Tennessee. Lydia Lovelace from Ohio, country rock. Brett Dennen from California, with over 40 million downloads on Spotify. The Texas Gentlemen, George Strait's studio band, as well as played with Chris Christopherson. We are extremely excited for them to join us. And then we will end with Making Movies, Latinx rock band from Kansas City.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Sounds exciting. Okay, next on the agenda to speak to us is Mr. Tony Aragon. If you would come to the podium, please, so we can hear you.
My name is Tony Aragon, and excuse my appearance, I just got off of work and didn't have a chance to tidy up.
That's okay.
Anyways, I'm here to question again the ordinance about the cemetery with the trees. What news?
We worked on that at the last work session, and what we would like to do is, it's called it like a windbreak, and have a memorial wall there by the,
The northern border.
by the northern border of the cemetery, where we could plant trees and then get some plaques to, like, with your wife's name on it, that would memorialize that tree for her. Looking at the pictures that the cemetery guys brought us, with the watering system and everything, and how it kind of endangers the rest of the graves. So, as of right now, that's where we stand.
What do you mean by endangers and graves?
Well, do you want to explain it better, Mark?
Yes, ma'am, I can. So we had a work session during our last meeting, or prior to our last official regular meeting. And we had staff from parks as well as from the cemetery bring up numerous issues. We have some handouts, and I could probably forward that to you. Could work on that tomorrow and get it to you. There's issues with the amount of trees that have to been removed. Some of those trees have died, and some have thankfully, they've never fallen or damaged a headstone or a footstone. But it is a nuisance when it comes to either trying to water, and I know that's, rare, we haven't done that in a while, but, we're gonna get back and get a new pump, and we'll be watering shortly. There's also concerns where some of these trees are encroaching onto others' plots. It's become an issue where, say, I own this plot and there's somebody else not associated with my family that owns the adjacent plot. The adjacent owner is complaining it's covering the headstone. There's some headstones that have been damaged by sap from the trees. We agree, being a sensitive area, we need to make sure that we upkeep the cemetery, and we know that, but all in all, the current ordinance states that it does not allow for planting of trees. And we felt in the best interest of the city, we keep that ordinance and stay strong with it. And a bit of a compromise, or maybe an effort to try to work with others. Another sign of a memorial to their loved ones is coming up with maybe a windbreak on the north end with some kind of tree that's native to this area that will last here. And maybe we talked about partnering maybe with Mesa Lands to have some commemorative plaques. It's all in talks. The cemetery board will continue to meet. I'd like to reach out to them, Alaka, if we can, now that we're in turquoise and we're able to be open for public meetings. I would definitely like to look into that option, but as of right now, we have, to my knowledge, we don't plan on changing that ordinance.
Well, I'm not interested in any windbreaks or anything like that. What I'm interested in is, like I explained in the first time, I want to plant a tree on my wife's grave, and I would like to replace the trees that died. And my parents' graves, they were there for a long time. They were killed by that bark beetle. I water my own trees. I take care of my own trees. And is there a question either about maybe throwing some grass seed on there also?
No, sir, that's something we plan on doing. We have things in the work to try to beautify the cemetery. The first step, of course, is getting the pump order, which I believe that took place this week. We got the final quote, and we're able to move forward with that. The next step is, once the pump is pressurized, I assume we're gonna have more leaks than we already had existing. We will replace those leaks. We're working with our community development. They are writing a grant to make sure we're able to extend some of those sprinklers up to the northern section. So it's a work in progress, but we do plan on laying down seed, and it'll be a tedious process, but we are working on trying to beautify the cemetery.
So in other words, no.
In regards to the tree, yes, sir, at this time, it is no.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yes, sir, thank you for your time.
Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda, and it's approved by a single motion. Any member of the commission may request an item be transferred to the regular agenda from the consent agenda without discussion or vote. And those things would be under the consent agenda is approval of the work session notes from February the 25th and approval of the commission meeting minutes from February 25th. So do I have any questions on this? I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll approve it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Guerrero,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Webb.
Yes.
Okay, next is, number 6, bids and contracts. Ralph Lopez will be in charge of this. It's the Second Street construction change order number 4.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. This is the 4th change order request from the contractor on the Second Street project. I'm on the wrong page, I think, but this adds 21 days to the contract time for the project, and also corrects a small drainage pipe that was omitted when we put in those seat walls on there. It blocked the drainage from that parking lot, that paved parking lot on the east side there. And I believe that was all the changes that it had on there for that portion of the project. The time requested was for 14 days of time that was lost because of weather. It covered that real cold snap that we had where they couldn't work, and also 2 small moisture events that happened during the construction period. And the other time was time that we stopped work on the project to negotiate some of the items that we felt weren't quite up to standards. and stuff, so we didn't let them, proceed with some of their projects on that too, so we held them up. The amount that is added for that, to replace that culvert is, $3,278.34, plus the time that they're asking for, and I'd like to go ahead and recommend that we approve this change order.
Okay, is there any discussion, questions?
I do have one question, ma'am. Was the culvert or the drainage pipe omitted out of error, or was it just not engineered into there?
I'm not sure on that one. I don't remember the original. Apparently it had one on the original sidewalk where we've had to put an ADA ramp on there. And, it took some of the water off of that parking lot and set it across there. With the ADA ramp, we couldn't have it on there. Of course, we have those seat walls now. I think it's more of a redirection of the water than something that was omitted originally from the project. I don't think it was an engineer omitted error or something that was just missed altogether. I think it was something they just found out after seeing it in place. It just looked like it needed to move the water a little bit to a different direction. And my understanding is it actually passes through that seat wall. So I think they were trying to keep the water from diverting down the ramp where it might cause problems there and get it off either through one of those water structures or just straight into the curb and off the street. So
So this is just something that was missed in the process?
I guess you could say that, yeah, it was just missed. It's something that we didn't know we needed probably at the time of the design. So.
Thank you, Mayor.
If there's no other discussion, I'd entertain a motion to approve Second Street construction change order number 4.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Second Street construction change order number 4.
I'll second.
Okay, second. Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias?
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis?
Yes.
Commissioner Moya?
Yes.
Commissioner Gamble?
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is the Second Street engineering contract amendment number 6.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is also to do with Second Street. Because the project has gone on so long, we've had to use the engineer's expertise longer than we anticipated on this. And they have requested an additional amount of $17,400 to cover the extra meetings, trips down here, and probably additional construction observation that's gonna be needed to finish the project out. They requested, I think there's a breakdown in there of their hours and everything else, but it's a total of $17,400. And are somebody from the engineering online, Mark?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ralph, for explaining that. Madam Mayor, I wanted to emphasize the importance on this change order. Previously, there were some concerns. We didn't have it in the budget to allow for the appropriate on-site inspection. We're able to meet Dean from Bohannon, Houston. He has an extensive background when it comes to these types of projects and in regards to the paving and whatnot. So I really think it's going to benefit us. This amount in the change order is not coming out of city funds. We had additional grant funding that was finally freed up after some time. So I'd ask for your approval, and I also have Todd Burt from Bohannon, Houston online if you'd like to say a few things.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Todd.
Mayor and council members, thank you for having us today. I've got myself, Todd Burt. I'm a senior vice president at Bohannon, Houston. I've also got the project manager, Andrew Schwartzwalter, in this conversation. And we've been working with Mark and Ralph now for quite some time on this project. And obviously it's got much longer than I think any of us originally anticipated. And the request we have in is to continue assisting the city throughout the successful completion of this project and also getting some additional inspection out there to oversee the contractor and certainly some work that probably needed some additional oversight as we went through the construction activities. So we certainly appreciate the opportunity to work for the city of Tucumcari and really enjoyed the opportunity to work on this project too, even though it's had its challenges, and are really looking forward to get it done with quality product for the city of Tucumcari.
Okay. Anyone have any questions of Todd? Okay. Any further discussion?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. If there's not any further discussion, I'd entertain a motion to approve the Second Street engineering contract amendment number 6.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the Second Street engineering contract amendment number 6.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Gamera,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the 2021 Airport Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriation Grant.
Mayor and Commissioners, I apologize for the lack of anything in the form of an agreement that came with this. They actually just sent us an email solicitation for this grant. We received it last year in the amount of $20,000, and it was a big help to the airport in that it let us pay for that much of the worker salaries. It reimbursed us up to the amount of $20,000. This year, they only are allowing us $9,000 on this. And the main reason I put it on the agenda was to ask for your permission to pursue this grant. It's there. They don't do a real agreement process and everything like their normal grants. We actually just fill out a spreadsheet detailing the hours up to that $9,000 and stuff and send it in with a narrative and a few other things. And at this time, I'd like to just ask your permission to apply for this grant.
Okay, any questions or discussions? Okay, if not, I would entertain a motion to approve the request for this grant.
Make a motion that we approve the request for this grant.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Gamera,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next is new business. Next we have Aging and Long-Term Services Agreement Contract, Amendment Number 1. Clara, it's nice to see you.
Yes.
Before you start, could I ask a question? Since we've gone turquoise, when does the Senior Citizen Center get to reopen?
When the governor says go.
Okay, all right, that answers my question.
Yes, we had a meeting yesterday, and a lot of us are asking that question, and we just have to wait for her direction. We were the first one closed, and we'll be the last one open.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Mayor, Commission, Manager, so I'm before you today for our Foster Grandparent Senior Companion Program. As you're all aware, we were shut down, so we have not been having anything in person. However, the federal side of the grant has said that we would continue to pay our stipend to our volunteers so that they would not be losing out on that, and that is continued in the normal way. The only thing that we were not able to continue doing was we had money for mileage because they get paid so much per mile to go to their work and to go home, or to take their clients to the grocery store or whatever. So unfortunately, we're seeing a little bit of a reduction in the grant because there is no way that we can spend it by the end of June. So this amendment is to reduce the Foster Grandparent Senior Companion Program by $5,051. So we are going to be able to spend the rest of it, which was $98,011. We'll be able to spend that by the end of June. And we've got our proposal to them on how we're going to do that. So I would entertain any questions or respectfully request your approval.
Do you want to have any questions of Clara? Okay. Thank you for keeping this going anyway. We appreciate it. I would entertain a motion to approve the Aging and Long-Term Services Agreement Amendment Number 1.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Aging and Long-Term Services Agreement, Amendment Number 1.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Gamera,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor
Thank
Pro
you.
Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Next is the agreement, the discussion on the third-party billing company, Omni, and update on the EMS fund. This was from, we tabled it to this meeting, so we are continuing discussion on it. Mark, you want to?
Yes, ma'am, I go ahead and I've asked our interim fire
Oh.
chief, Casey Mackey, to
Okay.
help out with that as much as we can for tonight.
I believe what you have before you is a billing contract from our EMS billing company. From what I understand, that was actually auto-renewed yesterday. I was not aware of that until this morning. So this is fairly new news to me also.
Commissioner Moy, I believe you had.
Yeah, I had some questions. Actually, before we can renegotiate a contract, we have to have 180 days notice on this only one. what really got me mostly is I read some of the contract, I really didn't go into in detail because I don't have the time. And that is, I see the 6% that we have, that is on the top of the line that they get as far as what they collect. Is that correct? What they collect or what they bill? Which one is
It's what they collect.
what they collect? Okay.
Yes, sir.
But then that wasn't what strikes me the most. What strikes me the most is we have to watch on the percentage of little addendums, like 3%, like in page 34, I guess it's called, where you go into 3% for, that will be charged. We're the clients, not the patient, In addition, 3% fee will be charged to the client if payment is made with a credit card, which I guess a credit card charges them 3%. So now we're at 9% from the total amount that they're collecting, There was stuff like that really got my attention. I think there was another thing, client will reimburse only monthly for actual postage and advantage and for mailings specifically related to the client billing. I can understand that's okay too. They're just gonna stay at 6%, but at the same time, it's always important to know how much is being collected. And I don't think we get the readout that we like to do that. There were several areas, and let me see where else I'm not gonna go through the whole thing. I think I should have done a little better thing on this one. I'm able to enter all new charges within 72 hours. I'll just go on the ones that were concerned to me real rapid, okay? And I guess in page 36, J, it says, it says that this is the thing that really gets me a little concerned. It says any revalidation, accreditation, and research request will be charged at $100 an hour from us unless the agreement is amended. Not knowing what time consuming it would be, and on that, especially when they're trying to do the credentialing on this. They're trying to do the credentialing, that it puts us. I think not knowing $100 what kind of hours we should be more careful than to leave it so openly. We should be able to say not to exceed 4 or 5 hours or 3 hours or something like that, But we left it so open that they can actually just go without. And then when we question it, I think there's another in the contract that actually says anytime we question or anything, they are to then charge us the thing. Like I'll go through the thing, another 5% or 3%. I can't remember what it is, So those are things that we have to watch on contracts. I noticed that, yes, we do have an attorney that oversees these contracts, but sometimes the attorneys are not looking at the bottom dollar like we should because we operate the city. So a contract like this can get out of hand if we do not put limits on hourly things that they require to do. I know that the contract went into effective yesterday, but for next year, it will still continue. We see a lot of that happening where there's overcharging for this, not overcharging, but a little bit too much for that we feel is beyond the 6% that we need to be more in control, and that leaves it very open. And then here's another one on 36, and then you go I see IMN, and it's Omni will charge in addition 3% to process prior claim to the starting date of the contract. We were good that we were still ineffective, but if we had not been ineffective, and they would have had to have done a billing because we were still not in agreement with the contract they presented, then their collection level will be at 9% now, which is pretty high,
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
I wanted to address the past two comments by Commissioner Moya. In regards to the $100 per hour, I have to applaud Chief Mackey. I know it was a tough transition, him having to jump into the billing side of things, and he's done a great job. We went from not collecting any money to we're almost self-sufficient now. We're getting there. It saved some time, but he's done a great job. And I can guarantee 100% we have not paid in those $100 hour fees. What happens is if, say, Chief Mackey wasn't doing his job and our EMS personnel was not turning in the reports or the base sheets, the things that they needed to get the billing accomplished, that's where the billing company charges us more to have to go do the footwork that the internal staff should have done. But with, like I said, Chief Mackey saying on top of things, we have not had that yet. In regards to the 6%, we did go out for RFP for billing companies. 6% is actually fairly reasonable.
No, I understand. I'm not questioning that part. What I'm saying is the additions to the 6%. I know that most billing people will go at that level. I mean, I'm very familiar with billing.
And I agree. And going back to the whole thing with the $100 per hour additional fee, there was a point, like I said in the beginning, when Chief Mackey was taking all this on, all the reports were backlogged. Omni provided great customer service, and they even warned us. They said, hey, if you go and get this all done, we understand your situation, we won't charge you for this late fee. It got to that point where they at least warned us first. So they are providing great customer service. We are getting money coming in to the accounts now. And I just want to address those two comments.
Well, no, that's not a problem. And that's not what I was talking about. And I'm certainly not talking about him at all. I'm talking about us doing the contract. It's our responsibility. And so when you have a contract that says $100 an hour and we leave it that loose, we don't know how many hours they would be charging us for. Let's say in January of this year, they got what you call 29,165. Their fee alone was 1,751, which is very reasonable. But let's say they had to go down to prior billing because we were still negotiating the contract, that would have been an $875.59 money for them. And then you go on to the next level, and that's it. If all this little percentage that you see in here can really add up, and that's what I'm saying. We have to be a little more responsible when we look at that. Then we hire attorneys. Attorneys are looking at the legal language, but we're looking at the bottom dollar, which is the bottom dollar for the community. And we certainly we want to operate an ambulance, and I started questioning this since I came to the commission, to be profitable and be able to sustain themselves without having to subsidize by the general fund. So this is what I'm pointing out. It's when we do contracts, we need to watch these things because this can get out of hand. It's nothing against you. It's nothing against anybody. It's against us taking a little more and not relying so much on attorneys. There's another one. It says client's responsibility, and that's talking about us. And on this one caught my eye, and the only reason it caught my eye, I'm very, very specific on many things, because one of the things is I deal with this every day, and that is like, for example, it says after 30 days with each invoice, the amount of due owed should be deemed to be valid, and the amount owed for such invoice will not be disputed in any way. You see what I mean? And a late fee might be 5%. What happens is, because we have such a skeleton crew right now, and we have a lot of the staff that works and cross-training doing other things, we have to be careful. Is 30 days enough for us to be able to get all this information to the billing people? If not, I would recommend 45 days, because you see, we don't have one person just assigned to that. We have the person that's doing it is answering the phone, taking money, or doing other things, you know what I'm saying? So we've got to look at deadlines too as well, because we can get ourselves into another 5% there.
Madam Mayor, similar to we discussed earlier with the police department, Chief's done some great things over there, implementing some policies. Chief Mackey's done the same, where by the end of the individual shift, they're required to get the reports in by the end of the shift as well. So we're doing some good things, implementing some new things to make sure that we don't have to worry about being late. We're trying to do our due diligence.
I understand that part, and I think you're not understanding. Yes, I always like, you can keep it at 30 days in our in-house, but we need to have some leeway there in case we have people out or not out, and we become reckless on it. I did discuss this with Rochelle, and she said there have been some incidents that were very, very, very close to not meeting the deadline. So this is what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is, the less of the profit the less of the income that we receive from the EMR given to the billing clerk, the better off we are for our operations. And that's what I'm saying. It looks more positive. And then let's say days invoice mail. Okay, after 45 days of non-payment, if we don't pay the company, then here goes another fee. You know what I'm saying? And so this is things that we can look at. We can even look at the fact is, instead of 45 days sending a check, you can look at 60 days. Because remember, sometimes Medicare and Medicaid has up to 45 days before they can reimburse the city of Tucumcari County. So
I do have a question on that. The way I take that is that we have 45 days to pay them, correct?
That's correct. And that's
Okay,
what I
the way
said.
they automatically actually pull that before they send us our money, they take their 6%.
Then why is that in there?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I have Rochelle on the line. She'd like to speak if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Rochelle.
Okay.
And she knows because I discussed it with her.
Like this, but I just wanted to answer Commissioner Moya's concern about paying late. So I haven't had the time to compile all the numbers for you, but I will tell you that I believe we've only made one actual check payment to Omni Billing. Other than that, they have been taking all of the payment or the technical 6% that we owe them out of all the credit card payments that they have received on our behalf. So every patient who has made a payment with a credit card, they have taken our fees out of all that money.
Yeah.
So we've never been late paying Omni any billing money either.
But actually in disputes, wouldn't that be one that would be a little late on the paying? If there was ever, we've been with them 1 year only, right? And it seems to have been pretty good.
Did you catch that, Rochelle?
No, I couldn't hear him.
Okay.
So Madam Mayor,
Yes.
just for clarification, so this contract actually auto-renewed without us being able to verify it first, correct?
No, it's in the contract. We agreed it
Right.
last year.
Last time, okay. So I think these suggestions will be better discussed at our next year's review of this contract, if we can make sure that diligence is done and that's brought to us in enough time to be able to review that.
Oh, I understand that part, but I think we, this is what happened. Somehow or other, we missed or we could have reviewed it before the 180 days.
Yes, sir.
So actually, this is when we got it. So it's important to bring it before and educate the commission as well as the public what we're paying for the service. It's a great service, don't get me wrong. But, education never hurt the public to keep the public and as well ourselves well informed. And we didn't have that opportunity, and we could have done it if we had more time, but we didn't get this until now.
So we dropped the ball.
No, we didn't drop the ball. We just didn't, I wasn't aware that we had 180 days. I thought it was a lot shorter.
When we approved it last time, we dropped the ball. If we can make sure we get this.
We can work on it for next year's.
Yeah, but this is things we should look at.
Right,
And
right.
actually,
I agree.
what happens is sometimes we get a lot because we have a lot of business and we get all this stuff in. And sometimes we omit it, but if we already have our radar off, then we start to look at this and we correct it.
I agree.
That's what I mean.
And Madam Mayor, based on the current contract, we only had been with this company maybe a year, so we haven't had anything to compare it to in the past. So we barely started having money come in, so I think it's a great opportunity for us
It is.
Right.
to let things play out, maybe get 2 years worth of data to see how good they're working for us before we move forward.
Well, it is, because one of the things we have, but the fact is that this huge amount of deficit in the ambulance was, and yet, we were subsidizing heavy. It has gone down to, what is it now, about 88 now, or so? So we're looking good in having revenue and the ambulance having a good budget, so. All in all, this is why I wanted to bring it up. I mean, I would go into more discussion, but, let's leave it at that. I just wanted to skim it today, so that's all.
Okay, good suggestions, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we don't have to vote or anything on
No.
this, it's just discussion. Right, all right, next on the agenda is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I have quite a bit of things to report on. I'll try to keep it sweet so we can get out here and go check out the stage setup and everything out there at the railroad depot. The first thing on the list, I'd like to read a letter that was sent to me by Connie Loveland from Main Street. It says, Secretary Main Street would like to express our appreciation for all the hard work and maintenance effort the city has put into the historic railroad depot in the past weeks, as well as the assistance with preparing for the filming events in Enchantment. The railroad depot is one of the most historically significant and well-known buildings in Tucumcari, located in the heart of downtown. During a normal non-COVID year, we welcome hundreds of visitors over the spring and summer months at the Tucumcari Railroad Museum. The recent updates to the electrical and repairs to the restroom will allow us to continue to serve our visitors as well as look ahead to future projects in the East Wing and baggage room. On behalf of the Tucumcari Main Street Board of Directors and staff, we would like to thank the city staff, including the employees from the following departments: Parks, Streets, Building Maintenance, Fire and EMS, and City Hall.
The combined effort of all involved allow these tasks to be completed quickly and efficiently. Tucumcari Main Street is grateful for the continued support and partnership of the city of Tucumcari. Thank you, Connie.
Thank you, Connie.
Along those lines, we'll keep things fresh, I guess, with Ben's Enchantment. I've had the pleasure of working with them recently, and yesterday we were out scouting some of the locations for the acoustic sessions. I'm really proud of our locals here going out the red carpet and showing the appreciation for what this could bring to Tucumcari and what it's currently bringing. We made stops along the way at numerous locations. One that stood out in particular was our historical museum. Again, it's very rarely that we go out there and people aren't amazed of what we have to offer in this small town. They also got a personal little demonstration from Jim Keith. Brought him out of retirement a little bit yesterday, and he was able to make a horseshoe in a short period of time. So we appreciate the locals, like I said, with the warm welcome. We appreciate Ben's Enchantment for all their hard work and efforts. I also had the privilege of attending a meeting in Logan discussing some of the EMS concerns we had in the region. I know within the last couple of months, as well as prior to that, the local areas, Logan and Tucumcari specifically, since we're certified, have been picking up a lot of calls in San Juan. We met with the PRC, and they stated San Juan is obligated once they had a certification to run not only in their area but throughout the county. I was educated on some things and was able to find out that we're not only responsible for the city, but per that certificate, we're responsible to provide services to the whole county. If not, we could be liable for issues. Since that meeting, we're planning on meeting with a smaller group, kind of a little committee on amending those certificates to fine tune it a little bit more centralized within city limits. We still will have mutual aid agreements with those entities within the county to help provide it, but it helps relieve the city of some of the liability because right now, say we're busy, Logan's busy, and San Juan can't make the call, we would all essentially share that responsibility. And I think we need to make sure that we don't bring any more liability upon the city than we need to. So we'll be discussing that in the future. Going back, I'm just reading these in orders that I had. Special commission meeting, of course, next Friday. Ben's Enchantment had invited us to the special screening of the first episode. After that, I would like to have a special meeting here at City Hall. I'm not sure how much time we'll need, but if we could start maybe around 5:30-ish to have the formal discussion on whether or not the city will operate that option in the contract to pick up the 4 next episodes. And in doing so, since time is sensitive, I think we could come up with an agreement that night. Next, something that made my day-to-day. It's some of the best news I've heard in a while. Had a phone call with Constance Williams. I'm not sure if you had a chance to read that email, Mayor, and I hope I'm not stealing your thunder if you're going to bring it up.
Go right ahead.
But it sounds like our conversation that the mayor and I had with Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez was successful. We were notified today that the city of Tucumcari, in an effort to help local government, will receive some American Rescue Plan funding in an amount of $1.14 million. Wow.
Tucumcari or?
Tucumcari. So
There's your butthole money.
So the one thing I want to make clear that was relayed to me is the parameters are unknown at this time. We're not sure exactly what we could put those funds towards, but nonetheless, that's definitely going to help us to receive that amount of money. It's great news. Along the line with more money, larger tax expenditures. I have been having some conversations internally, and then I've expressed those most recently to the lodgers tax. Things we want to do with that money we have available to make renovations. We're getting updated quotes to redo the flooring out the convention center. We're also going to update the old, instead of the projection screens and the projectors, it's common practice now, it's a lot better quality. We're going to order at least 1 or 2 high-def television TVs out there, flat screens. That way we can utilize those instead of the old projectors. We're working, it's about $6,000, a little over $6,000 to update the Wi-Fi and all the cabling and everything associated with it, because in case everybody didn't know, we are in turquoise now, so we are able to open up. That leads me into the next topic. The next topic is the city. I've been discussing again internally. We don't have everything fine-tuned yet, but we will be opening up City Hall to the customers on Monday. We'll be open from 10 to 2. We'll also be opening up the Recreation Center on a limited basis. That's what I have to fine tune a little bit more because we have to take the extra precautions. We have to increase the sanitizing. We have to increase the safety. So I plan on opening the Recreation Center, if not next week, the following week. It's going to be at a limited capacity, either half days for now, maybe 3 days a week. We want to ease into it. I don't just want to jump it all at one time. The library and museum are already open. The convention center is available for small functions up to 33% capacity, not to exceed 150 people at a mass gathering. So it's exciting news to see our city moving forward. And with that, I think that's long enough. Thank you.
How about the tree park? Is that gonna come back open?
So that's what we have to really work on the scheduling. The tree park has been open. It's open on Thursdays from noon to 4. I've had citizens concerned that they want it to be open more on the weekend. We have to do what we can with our staff. Just as a kind of a PSA, the gentleman that's actually opening and out there physically maintaining or manning the tree limb park, Coronado Park, is the same individual that works at the Recreation Center. In order to help save his job, we transferred him over to the Parks Department to work with the parks, the cemetery, and out at the tree branch file. So that's where we have to come to a compromise. What's in the best interest of the city? I really want to get that Recreation Center open, and I think it's going to be maybe open 3 days a week, and then maybe 2 days for the tree branch file. Again, that's going to take some coordination. I'm going to have to speak to the department superintendent. So more will be released. All of the reopening plan will be posted on Facebook once we get it hashed out.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Thank you. Sounds like.
Let me ask a question. So you're saying that our permit is countywide, and because we have that permit in the ambulance, we're liable for responding anywhere in the county?
That is correct.
That puts us at a disadvantage, right? But then you also have to consider the other side of the coin is the fact is that then if you only get a permit, which would be through the State Corporation Commission, just to operate in the community, then you can't serve the outer part of the city of Tucumcari because they're not incorporated, because that was where it will limit our ability to serve outside the county, you know. Well, we'd have to stop at that level. The question is, has this question being posed to the county on how they would actually somehow or other help us out with some of the, even though we're doing good, but we still need more money, to be able to keep that kind of permit. So because it benefits the county as a whole, I mean, you're even looking at nearby stuff, which is in the county, you know what I mean?
Correct. If we were to not keep the certificate, which I do, we want to remain a credentialed emergency service.
Right.
But if we were not, that would force the county to have to provide it. They're obligated to provide it for emergency services. So again, I think just to remove some of that liability, I'd like to set the boundaries, and Logan wants to do the same, just so we protect ourselves. And that doesn't mean we're going to stop running on calls. Again, we need to update the mutual aid agreement. We still plan, if allowed, if we have the staff available, to respond to the whole county. It's just per that certificate, we want to bring that boundary in a little bit, say maybe the county line out by Montoya, maybe to 11 Mile Road. That's typically what we respond to on the EMS and fire side. We just want to make sure that it's fine-tuned, and part of that certificate, like I said, I've already talked to the PRC. I have the application ready to go. We're going to discuss it amongst this small committee, and then once we get to the place where we feel it's ready to bring to the commission, we'll have a work session. We'll discuss the pros and cons, get your feedback, and ultimately, I'd like to push that forward to the PRC.
That would be good, because it reduces our liability, and also it keep some of the ambulance out of staying out of pocket out of the city. We have our own emergency here, and it's a liability because you do have a permit that will be countywide. If you limit it to certain geographical area in the county, you'll be better off. It gives us a better handle to be able to manage.
Yes, sir.
The other question I had, you said something about the floors of the convention, they're gonna be working on it or what?
So I think we've put it out there a few times, but we have renovated, the restrooms. The last step in the restrooms now is painting the stalls. They're kind of I would call it the ugly Pepto-Bismol pink color. They're now more of a neutral gray color or light tan. I'd like to thank them out there that have been working on those. We did that internally. We bought the paint, and our own staff is doing that to save some money. It's looking great. But yes, since the quote was given to the city so long ago to follow procurement, it has to be within 30 days. So we're getting an updated quote on that, as well as getting a second quote because it's so high. We may actually, I think we're gonna have to end up going out to bid because it's over $60,000, honestly.
Oh my.
So that was
Is that doing away with the carpet?
So, based on some feedback from a few professionals, we feel it's probably in the best interest that the majority of the convention center, the entryways, maybe we convert that either to tile or to some stained or polished concrete. For the dance floor, I like to switch that out from that VCT tile to the polished concrete for the dance floor. But as far as the rest of the ballroom, due to its size, I like to switch maybe to the carpet tiles. That was a recommendation. I think it would do well for us. The main thing is the cleanliness. Right now, it's a bit wore out, the carpet, and it has stains on it.
Yeah.
And if we happen to have a really bad stain in a section, we can replace certain tiles instead of a whole section of carpet. So that's where we're at with that.
The carpet tiles are what we did in our church fellowship hall where we have our dinners and things. And it really has worked well because if you get a big stain, it's easier to replace just that little tile, the big tile, rather than the whole thing. And it keeps it looking nice.
Thank you. And we also discussed, I know a lot of this made the paper and I wanted to talk to y'all about it. Yes, we do pay off the convention center at the end of this fiscal year in June, but I feel due to its age, we need to modernize it a little bit. So maybe for this first year, we really need to put some of that money back into the convention center, like we have now. Again, we're starting with the technology, we're hitting Wi-Fi. We want to redo the restrooms, we want to do the flooring. There's some concerns with the roof in certain areas where it's leaking. We're going to take care of that immediately. And a lot of this was approved through the capital section of the executive lodger's tax. It was approved with the budget, the things that I told you tonight. So I just wanted to make sure that I want to be transparent, let y'all know what the money's going towards, and just give an update where we're going with that. We also, one last thing, I don't want to go on and on, I always say that, but we also want to look at the possibility of contracting out the management of the convention center.
What's the advantage to that?
The advantage is hopefully to save some money. If it doesn't save money, then we'll go back to the drawing board. It will be hopefully marketed a little bit more efficiently. There's some things that make it easier. They'd be in charge of actually maintenance. They'd be in charge of communicating with caterers, in charge of bookings. And I think it's just an opportunity to look that could potentially save the city some money and increase our customer service and make it a little bit better.
And how would it save the city money? I'm more interested in that part.
So right now, the way we're going to analyze this, we're doing it now that we're talking about budget. So you figure you take the staff wages, you get all the wages, the benefits.
How many staff
building
do we have
maintenance.
there?
Right now, due to COVID, I cut it down. We have one person at part-time. The other two I transferred out to facilities maintenance. There's only been so much of a workload that you could actually conduct at the convention center. We've been closed.
Understand.
Now that we're opening, if we get some conventions, some meetings or whatnot, we'll move staff around as needed. But those individuals were needed more in facilities maintenance side of things to help pick up some of the slack where buildings are an issue. Like I said, they've been working out at the railroad depot. I've heard of some concerns this evening in regards to some things at the historical museum. We'll get them out there. It's just taking care of our assets.
Well, I think that convention being underutilized statewide, because so much could be utilized for.
I agree.
And that was the concept of building it, to bring in that dollar for larger people, larger they pay for it.
Okay. Anything else?
No, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
All right, well, we'll start with comments or items from the commissioners. Commissioner Moya, go ahead.
Well, I got a very short list today. One of the things is, one of the things that we have today, that I'd like to question is, and he's here today, so he can handle this. When you get occupation for a building, how come our fire department doesn't do the occupation or the fire certification?
Because we have no, building inspectors, we're not the authority having jurisdiction. When it comes to occupancy certificates and whatnot, that goes to New Mexico CID and eventually someone trained and certified through the state fire marshal's office.
Because when they, yeah, well, I had that, building I renovated, I had to call the state fire marshal, and he said to it, that it was, in some communities, the local fire marshal does that. And actually, they really in many ways said that wasn't their job to reinforce that. That's why you have other buildings that are not inspected by the fire marshal. The only reason I had it inspected by them so they can, was because I really wanted to make sure we have all the safety nets in it, but we're not even required to have it there. That's why I just wondered why we don't do it. We're not required to do it for that building that I renovated, but I still wanted it done because I wanted the safety and what I have to correct.
It's a little bit more of assumed liability, then again, we'd have to make sure we have the appropriate training for that specific type of inspection.
Yeah, because I really seen a lot of the buildings and they don't have that inspection and they have operational things. And that's what my concern. The other question I had was, that's something maybe we need to look and see, maybe someday we can do that as a service for the business. I wasn't required to call the state fire marshal, but I did because I do want everything to be up to par. The other question I have, and I know there's probably a reason, but because of the fact is that, why do we have 2 ambulances always going to a receipt? That's a lot, that's a big vehicle.
So we, go ahead.
I can answer that for you. So right now, we're employing 3 full-time recruit positions. They're uncertified, but have to be certified within a year and currently going to school right now. The purpose of taking 3 ambulances is, right now, we also have 1 short employee on every shift. So I have guaranteed 3 people on a shift. It's occasionally I get some people that fill shifts, but right now they're kind of getting burned out and it's getting harder to fill those shifts. But when we get a 911 call, we do have an amendment with the state right now, a waiver that just permits 1 EMT to have to respond to that scene with the driver. That's just a waiver for now. I'm expecting it to change, being that we're going back to turquoise and we're doing better. I don't know how quick that'll be, but we have 45 days after the governor changes that order, that waiver. We have 45 days that we can still run with just 1 EMT on the ambulance. So I like to cover our employees and to cover our EMTs. I like there for it to be 2 EMTs if we have them in town to show up to our 911 calls. It's more of a liability issue. If something bad happens, we only have 1 EMT there, it could turn into a lawsuit. So what they do is, initially the 2 EMTs respond in the first out ambulance. The second out ambulance will usually be the recruit. And the purpose of that is, if we do get another 911 call before they clear that first scene, the first ambulance will have a driver to the ER. The second EMT will then get in that second ambulance, drive to the second call, and then I meet them on scene so that I could drive that second ambulance.
To provide great health service as well as making sure that we have total.
Because if I don't send that second ambulance, that recruit doesn't go, and if we get a second 911 call, I don't have another EMT because they're tied up on that first 911 call. But usually our second 911 or our second ambulance, they'll respond with the first ambulance, but they'll still remain in service. So if we do get another call, they can leave right away.
Yeah, because I see them even going towards the hospital, both of them at the same time, and I go like, you got doctors over there.
A lot of it is too, like in the mornings, they go get reports and blood draw kits, and it could be that instance, or it could be we're helping the hospital work a code.
Lift assist.
lift assist, stuff like that. I try to keep the ambulances, at least one, available all the time, just for emergencies. Our medic, what we call the medic 3, we haven't been getting a lot of those. It's actually slowed down a lot since October, which is really good in our line of work. Which our ambulances needed that break. We were really running them ragged. So,
So what would happen if you were to get a county call to San Juan? Would you send both ambulances?
it depended on if, no,
Because I
Our
was saying,
recruit-
he was uncovered here.
Our recruit and one EMT would go on that call, and we would leave one EMT left here in town with myself, being the driver. I'm a driver a lot of the times on these, just because we need the coverage, and I'm the last string left, so.
Yeah, because the response time would be heavier if 2 ambulances are out of town.
Yes, sir.
Especially if it's up in the outer community.
And dispatch is pretty good about calling me on these, really far county calls or out to the state line, past San Juan, and being able to screen those. If we have a crew, then I'm obligated to send them. But if I don't have the crew, I have to turn them down and say, I'm sorry, I can't take this. You're gonna have to call Logan or whoever else.
Yeah, but a lot of times they don't respond to them.
Logan? Yeah, well, they're a little bit better than the other side of the spectrum there, but their biggest issue right now too is they're kind of shorthanded, and they're covering Harding County too. Harding County doesn't have any EMTs right now, so.
Thank God it's not that big of a county.
So it's just, we're really spread thin. It sounds like really all over the state, talking to the Region 3 EMS. It's really an issue everywhere. And like I said, we have 3 uncertified people right now, including myself, that are going through EMT school. In fact, that's why I was late tonight. I had a test, so we should have more certifications by the end of May.
Thanks, Casey.
There was one of a lady who lives on Monroe Street called me today and said, and this is just a PR announcement. Her dog passed away, and she's looking for a female dog that might have a couple of years that might give it his spade. She really wants another dog in your district. And so she said, if anybody knows of somebody who might have a female dog, because she has 2 elderly male dogs, and she really needs some companion. So if anybody knows of that.
I recommend going down to the Closet Closet Animal Rescue.
Yeah, she did, but they didn't have any. So she thought a lot of people will like, last week I had somebody pass away, and the family didn't know what to do with their animals, But if they know somebody who might want to give up a female spayed dog. And the other thing is, we do have a drug problem. Usually we don't like to bring it up because the less we talk about it, the less we see it. And this community is going to have to get a hold of it. It's costing us a lot of money between the people stealing, between people that are utilizing it, and between getting into other people who are on medication because of psychiatric problems. And this is creating a lot of conflict. You can't stabilize somebody who's taking the regular medication and also taking an alternate drug. So we do, and I see it a lot, and it's something that we're going to have to address. I don't know how these communities going to address it. It's not affecting a lot of people, so we're still not screaming, but I can see where it is. Like I told you the other day on the workshops, people are, I know more or less, a lot of the people are utilizing too much of that meth problem that we have in this community. So we're going to have to address it eventually in this commission if it continues to be a problem. It's going to be a big problem.
Yes, sir.
That's it. That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Villanueva?
I got maybe a few little things, about the cemetery wall.
So I've been awaiting the second quote. Even though it is an insurance claim, the individual that hits the wall, those are responsibility. The insurance claim went against them. We have received a check.
We've only received one quote. I'm awaiting the second quote, but once we receive that, we'll issue a requisition, a PO, and move forward with it.
So one question. Did you actually ask for 3 coats, 2 coats, 1 coat, or what's going on?
So the insurance handled the initial quote. That's just for them to see how much it's gonna cost to repair. They don't do the procurement for us. They just get the amount so they can get a check issued to the city. Once we were issued the check, now it's our responsibility as a city to go out and get the quotes, follow our procurement and state procurement. Once that's been met, then we can start construction.
Because supposedly, I guess, the guy that gave you a quote, hired a relative to come into town and somebody stopped them from doing the work.
Again, based on, and I put a stop to it, we can't violate procurement and get ourselves in an issue with an audit. I'm not gonna get to details of the personnel stuff, but I did relay based on the concerns from the commission. We wanted to move on that quickly. I asked an employee to move on it quickly and start working on it, getting it done. But with that, maybe there's a bit of a misconception. We still have to follow procurement at the end of the day. I feel bad if the individual had done that and hired an individual from out of town to come help or work on it. But again, I'm just looking out for the best interest of the city. We got to follow procurement.
How about the lighting out at the cemetery, anything?
Nothing on the cemetery. In previous conversations, I've talked to the employees that oversee that department. And some of the discussion that came up was the cemetery is closed at night. Nobody's supposed to be there anyhow, so it wasn't a top priority to invest the money that we didn't have to put lighting out there. But again, it's always something we could look into.
You mean the cemetery gates are closed? I thought we couldn't close them because.
They're not closed.
They're not closed, but it's supposed to be closed hours at
Because it
night.
has a lot of asphalt and you can close it, so it's really not closed.
Right.
It's not technically closed. It's an honor system. It's the same as anything else with the speeding ticket. It's the law, it's our ordinance, but
Okay.
some people break it. Sometimes they get caught.
Okay, I had some complaints about, like on First Street, an empty lots, trash all over. Does the landowner have to pick it up, or can city employees, well, street department, that's,
So if it's private property, I'll recommend that we go after the property owner and make them pick it up. Anytime a city employee moves on to private property, there's liability issues. If we were to get one of our employees hurt on private property, there's just a lot of liability, so we discourage it. I know previously with trash pickups through Clean and Beautiful, we have allowed that, but we do get some waivers signed off on if it's volunteers. And we get permission from the property owner to make sure there's no issues.
because I had a gentleman, I guess, the court enforcement messed with him, and he said, well, don't go after the people with empty lots, when they got bags, toilet paper, whatever.
In the misconception, it's hard. A lot of the citizens say, oh, they don't go after them. I mean, they never know unless someone verbalizes it, says, oh, I got a ticket or I got a letter from code enforcement. There's numerous times that if somebody was issued a letter or a warning or whatnot for some kind of nuisance, it's almost guaranteed from what I have, when I've talked to the chief, that most likely if there's a code violation, everybody in that block received it. It's just what stage in the process is it? Are they cleaned it up yet? Are they currently pending court? I don't know, but if there's specific addresses, specific complaints, specific people, feel free to relay it. I'll get it to the chief. Individuals that are complaining, I direct them to follow the kind of chain of command of the process, let them reach out to code enforcement. If they don't get their answer, go up the chain. I mean, it's a process. It's an education process to make sure people follow that chain.
And the only thing I got next is about dumpsters. People are complaining that other people are coming in, throwing their trash, throwing different kinds of trash, and they're not supposed to be there.
I personally visited one particular businesses, made 2 calls, 1 visit personally to try to address that. The only way to truly stop it is get license plates and we cite them. Even that may not stop it. Maybe install some kind of cameras. The business I talked to, they have security cameras if they can provide that footage. That's the only way we can truly stop it. It's the same as anything else. If we don't get there in time and catch the person, it's gonna be very difficult. But I have been working, like I said, with those that, as I received the complaints, I went out and I talked. I attempted to talk. The individual I want to talk to is not there at the time.
I just want to thank our employees on stuff that they've been doing, and that's about it there.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
It is nice to see you, Miss Claire. Ralph, you too, but I've been seeing you quite a bit. It's getting a little warmer, and something I've noticed in the mornings, there's a lot of dogs starting to get out again. Let's not wait till one gets hit to start complaining that the city's not taking care of your dogs. Also want to thank Ms. McClellan and her friends. A couple of weeks ago, she started up a little thread on Facebook concerning some of the lots on First Street. And something that's unusual, she actually, and not with her, but unusual for somebody that's got a complaint, she actually went out and created a solution and had quite the turnout. I wish I had been able to help participate. And they went out and cleaned up some of the area, and actually it looks like they're planning on it again. You know, I've always felt that you don't have a complaint unless you have a solution, because everybody sits and always thinks they got a better solution. So I want to thank her for heading that up, and I appreciate the citizens that have helped her out. I want to thank Ken and Vince for taking a chance with Tucumcari and coming out here. I do want to thank a lot of the community that's been jumping behind this and supporting it. Done park lights, we haven't heard about that in a while.
Still working on it.
It does get, I see one light when I look out there and it's on the corner, you know, but, you know, I'd like to see that get lit up again. And I just got a suggestion with this 1 point, how many million?
1.14.
I think, you know, we definitely should have a work session when we figure out the parameters. And hopefully we can get an even better type of road machine that can actually fix sections. Also, I think a big concern for me would be the skate park, something about refurbishing. I know we've had some vandalism out there, but right now, if you look at it, if I was 12 years old and riding my skateboard, I wouldn't have a whole lot of pride going out there anyway. And that's when you drop your pride, is when you start doing things that you're not really proud to do in the first place. I think the rec center, we do need some focus on that as well, if we got that opportunity. But first, the roads. So, that's all I've got.
Commissioner Artis.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Latham, and thank you and the other members of the Tucumcari Historical Research Institute for coming in and raising your concerns. I do look forward to us coming back to the table and discussing that agreement and making some positive changes down there. We do appreciate all the hard work you all have put in, as well as the other volunteer organizations and museums we have here, especially during the COVID time. Vince, Ken, I don't dance, but I got a new set of dancing shoes ready to get going. I might do it in my living room, but it's gonna happen. Mayor, the last thing I have, I just really want to thank Mark for his attention to some issues that I've raised with him here recently. I think this is a great example of working the process and the process working. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Mark, thank you for bringing up about Constance Williams and the money we got. I was excited to see that email. Mark Miller, I got the small business thing from him and I forgot to bring it tonight, and I was gonna read that. So did you get that? Do you want to talk about it, or let's wait till next time?
Probably till next time.
Okay, we'll wait till next time. Also, congratulations to Daniel Zamora and being named the new county manager. I know he and Mark work well together, so that'll be a plus. The schools are open as of Monday, all day long, so yay for them. So glad about that. Ken and Vince, thank you again for coming, and we're so excited about Bands of Enchantment, so I have to get my t-shirt out, be ready to wear it when I come see you. I'd like to welcome Pastor Stephen Mason. I know he had to leave, but to the community, and thank him for coming, doing the invocation tonight. You probably read his story in the paper. It's quite a story, so we'd like to welcome him to our community. Other than that, I'm excited we've gone turquoise. Thank you, Clay County and Tucumcari, for being safe. We appreciate that. Shots are available
Karen and I talked about that on the radio, I guess it was Russell and I. No, we talked about it, didn't we, on the radio the other morning, Clay County did receive 400 shots. So
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Convention Center.
Right, and, so, anyway, I know, they're gonna have some going at the convention center and at both clinics, so if you haven't been vaccinated, now's your opportunity to get that way. I'm glad we're opening up, still be careful, wear your mask when at all possible. Other than that, thank everyone for coming tonight, Casey, I'd like for your ambulance to stay off Sixth Street. They've been there way too much lately. Right, Clara? They give us both a heart attack every time we have the ambulances on Sixth Street. So, anyway, but we do appreciate all the hard work you're doing. Thank you again, Chief Latham, for your hard work. We appreciate the police department. And thank you again, everyone, for coming tonight. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Webb.
and we wore out our batteries tonight. I was looking for it, and did you look at yours?
I looked
No,
up.
I'm dead too.
Oh, is that my book?